Hey everyone, today's vlog is all about setting up my school community. Now this is all part of the free school course that Max Pearson is running, and this is like an accountability post. So let's start, let's just jump right in. So this is my profile on the school platform. So this is me here, my little bio. And that's consistent across all of my platforms. I generally have that on everything. I don't put that really specific target market. This is the people that I help and this is how I do it. Because I have two communities and they're pretty different in the level that they target. So for Who Do You Think You Are? It's a more generalized community for people that are wanting to self-actualize, fulfill their potential and their soul contract, and live a life that they really want to live. And then the second community that I have is the Book Writer's Kitty, and it's really niche. It's for people that want to write their personal story and share that, publish it and share that into the world to help other people overcome challenges similar to what they have overcome. So they're both very different. And so I have this really general little bio here, but it encapsulates who I am. And so I am really open-minded and I'm really curious about how we think. I'm really playful about how I explore that. And I'm really compassionate to people and their struggles because I know, I've been there, right? Everybody faces challenges and we never really know just what someone is going through. We only ever know what people show us. And even then, it's only to what level they understand it themselves. And so I'm very compassionate about the human condition that we find ourselves in. And I'm really curious about how other people think and how they see themselves and the conditioning that has shaped them to be that way. So yeah, life is a playground and we are to play and experiment and be curious and love life. So that's what I'm all about. But I just put it into that little succinct sentence and I think that kind of gives an idea of what I'm about and who I am at my core level. So let's jump into the first community that we have here, which is Who Do You Think You Are? I'm going to open that up for you to have a look at. So this is my about page. This is what you will find when you follow a link from my social media or you find me from the discovery page. And I'll just show you what it looks like when you land on it. You'll see the join group here. You'll see how many members and how many are online. That it's just me as the only admin. And you'll see here I've got my banner, which is consistent across all of my social media. Now on my Instagram and YouTube channel, I don't have this icon on the banner. I just have this background and Who Do You Think You Are? So it's really consistent. I found that if I put this whole image up, that the profile picture sits over the top here, and then it just looks really, really weird. So I've just taken out the elements that make it confusing and that don't work, but the branding is consistent. There's that element that runs through everything. And so that's what you'll find with this business, this community, is that it runs consistently with that branding across all of those platforms. So that's what you see when you land on my about page. You'll see that banner. You'll see that that's what shows up in discovery over here. That's what you see in the discovery thing. I think last time when I looked, this will be an interesting experience to do. I'll show you in a minute where I rank in discovery for a certain keyword. So It's really hard to rank top in discovery, but if you use keywords in your about page, you can rank for those. And so I have self-actualization is a keyword that I use in my copy, in my about. And so I do rank in discovery for that. Let's have a look at that actually. Jump out. Let's have a look in discovery, which is just here, discover communities. Let's have a look where I rank today for self-actualization. And I'm Australian, so I spell that with an S. All the Americans spell it with a Z, and I suppose other countries. Anyway, that's irrelevant. So this is the discovery page for self-actualization. So going by 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24. I'm ranking at 25 today. So that's me there. And if I click on that, it'll take me to the about page where we just were before. So in my about page, I have my little description, my short description, my short description that shows up on the discovery page. And that should be enough just to hook people in. So I'm talking about, being a creation of your own design and feeling like a Frankenstein monster when you are just parts of everybody else and you're not true to yourself. And so that involves deconditioning. That involves looking at how you become that person. Whose programming are you running by? Are you running by what you learnt in your family? Are you running by your experiences that you had through school? Your first jobs? Big traumatic events that you've had in your life? That all shapes who you think you are and what you believe you are allowed to do in the world, who you're allowed to be. So we look at all of that. And I think that sentence or that question there just has enough in it to get people to think about who they are and what has brought them to that point, and whether they want to continue with that or whether they want to change that and become a creation of their own design. And so in here, in the full description, I go through and I talk about that, talking about the conditioning, and I talk about what we do in the community as uncovering our experiences and our thoughts and our beliefs and how they influence our identity and how that impacts our ability to achieve our desires, to allow ourselves to step forward and go after what we really want. And then I talk about starting with the free self-actualization activation, which is in the classroom. And so people can see what I'm talking about. People might look at that and go, well, what is self-actualization activation? Well, up here in my little frame of videos and snippets and all that kind of thing, they can have a look at that. They can see exactly what's in that. Goes through. I talk about the course in general. I talk about, what it isn't. So it's not overnight success. And I talk about, who this is for and what it's about. So it's for all those people. Oh, this is a picture. I'm trying to move it around, but it's a picture. I get myself all the time with this. And I talk about what it includes. So it shows down here, there's a self-actualization plan in there, which is a template with guiding questions to help you create a clear vision of what your ideal life looks like. And then to identify the gap between where you are now and where you want to be. And then to develop an action plan to close that gap so that you can actually bring that vision into your physical reality and live that life. Included in that self-actualization activation is a 7-day clarity challenge. And in that we step through, working through that self-actualization plan to the point where you've done those actions and you concrete them in with action in your day. you start taking action, you start becoming that person, you embrace that identity, and you start stepping into that. I like to say, when you decide that you're going to be something and you have that vision of it, you are that vision at the very beginning. Okay, because it takes all those steps. You have to be that person to take that step, to take that step, to take that step, to build the skill, to discover the knowledge that you need, to close that gap, to get closer and closer until you unify and you become that person. So that's what we're working on. And so they also get like the 90-day personal breakthrough challenge habit tracker. So that hints towards a paid level in my community, which is the 90-day personal breakthrough challenge. But I give them the 90-day personal breakthrough challenge tracker so that they can get started. Because basically, the 90-day personal breakthrough challenge is all about the additional support that you get and the accountability. That it's more the hand-holding. So for people that don't need that, they just need the information and the action takers already, then they're good to go. They're good to go with just what's provided in that free course. The other thing that I show on my About page is the community coaching call, so that they can see that there is a free call that they can access, and it gives them an opportunity to have some coaching. They can have coaching within the group. And if they're really game, they can put their hand up for hot seat coaching. And they can be on the call and have coaching for everybody to see and be a great example. Now, I love hot seat coaching because you can't help but look at your own thinking when somebody's sitting there and examining, what's happening for them. You'll make comparisons about whether you think the same or, whether, you're completely different in how you process that. It'll get you to look at your own processes. And in doing that, you will shift things just by being a witness to somebody else. So I love that. And it's a beautiful way to pay it forward, is to put your hand up and do the hot seat coaching. It's not everybody's cup of tea. Not everybody will feel comfortable doing that. But it is one way, if you're lacking in finances, that you can get coaching for free. The other thing is, I have this pinned on my community feed right up the top. So it's after the Start Here welcome post. And then I have this community coaching call, What's on Your Mind post. So that they don't have to go to the classroom to see that. They can click on this Join Us for the Next Live Call. It'll take them straight to that week's calendar. And then they can pop it in. They don't have to search through the calendar to find it. They just click on that. It takes them straight to it. And the other thing about this post is, because this is global reach. And so my 34 members, they are across the whole globe, spanning all the time zones. And so it's really hard to find a time that everybody can connect with. Now for me, I'm in Australia. I'm on the other side of the world to the majority of my community members. And the times that work best for most of those are the times that I have my kids at home and I'm kid wrangling. It doesn't work to get on a live call. And so I've set the times that work for me, that I have available. And then I have this post. And it means that people can still request some help for their challenges. They can still request coaching and advice. And they just do that in this post. So they'll type in, I'm really feeling challenged about recording myself on video. How do you go about breaking that? breaking that pattern, and what are good ways to shift those limiting beliefs that are stopping them from doing it. So if they put that in there, when I come to the call, if nobody is on the call, instead of just not doing a call, I can do a call all about that. And then I can record it, and then I can share that onto the community page, and everyone benefits. So they don't have to be on the call to get some value from the community in terms of free coaching. And, back to this. Join the next live call. So instead of putting in here my time that I'm available, saying it's on Monday at 12:30 p.m. Brisbane time, that means nothing to somebody that lives on the other side of the world. That's just confusing, because then they're going, well, what is that in my time zone? But by just putting join us for the next live call and having that go straight to the calendar, it's really clear. There's no confusion in this post. They know exactly where to go. They know that they can write their question, and they can see here the tab that they go to find the call recordings if there's any for that week. If nobody shows up and there's nothing in this here, then I just work through that hour and a half. If someone jumps on the call, I'm there, and we can start a conversation, and whatever their challenge is, we can work on it. But if nobody shows up, then I don't post anything. I just want to have the call recordings category for valuable content. So I'm not going to just jump on and bump my gums and just ramble. I'll only post the stuff that is of value, so people don't waste their time going and sitting through a recording that has really nothing in it. Anyway, so rambling. So that's my post. The other thing that I have in here is I just give an example of the kinds of things, the kinds of discussions that were put in here. So I think this is a good one in terms of life is a bit of a game, and what would happen if you allowed yourself to be the observer and you play a character. And we basically do. We play characters. We choose, what character we're going to play with certain people and what roles we'll accept and step into. And so it is just like playing a game. You select your character and you move through the stages and you level up. And so in this post, I'm asking people, what do they want that game to look like? What stages do they want to reach? What do they want to have as a reward? When you play games and you get rewards, what do they want? What do they want to reward themselves with for achieving those certain tasks and leveling up? And also just talking about the amount of time that we spend playing everybody else's games, being distracted in social media and mainstream media and doing what everybody else wants us to do. What if we stopped giving our attention to everybody else and instead we paid attention to ourselves and developing our own game? So there's a lot in that one little post if people dig into it. And then I've just got a little comment down here talking about if people need help in gamifying their life, then they can join the 90-day Personal Breakthrough Challenge. They can go through the Self-Actualisation Activation course and, gamify that way. And this platform is gamified. So if you have a look here, let's jump to my profile. So if you have a look here on my profile, I have a flame next to my name. Now, I didn't really think that would matter that much to me. I'd seen it on other people's profiles, and I'm like, yeah, there's a flame. But what it is, the flame is for being consistently active. And it's not a lot. You don't have to be very active. You just have to show up every day. So this is my activity bar here. And every day it shows when I sign up. So if we go, I don't know if I can go back any further. But it shows I think I first came to the platform back in November or something with somebody else's training group, but I didn't join until about here, where I came in with the Hormozy book launch. And so I came in and I started building my community in here somewhere. And so let's get back to the point. It's 10 activities a day for 30 consecutive days, and you get a flame. To keep that flame, you just have to keep doing the 10 activities every day. And the activities are really easy to do because the activities are liking posts, commenting on posts, making your own posts, those things. And if you do those things, it's really easy to get a flame next to your name. And so to make sure that I show up consistently, I have 2 blocks a day that I come into the school platform. I have one in the morning and then I have one in the evening. And those 2 blocks are not blocks where I focus on building my community or I jump on networking calls or all of that kind of thing. They are blocks purely to join. You'll see that I've got communities down here. These are all the communities that I'm a member of. They're all things that I'm interested in, and they're all people that I'm supporting with growing their business, and courses and support for business development on this platform. And because I have multiple interests, so I have this general community, which is Who Do You Think You Are? But then I also have the Book Writer's Kitty, and that's all about writing your personal story and publishing and becoming an advocate for change. And then I'm also into metaphysical stuff. So I'm into crystals, I'm into tarot cards and oracles, and I'm into energy healing. And so I'm in groups like that as well. So there's a lot of groups down there. But that's what feeds me. That's all my interests. And I love it because it's unlike social media where you jump into somebody's news feed or you jump into, a page and you're still getting hit with advertisements for stuff. Okay, so back into this, Who Do You Think You Are? The next thing that I want to talk about is, and I've taken it back to what you see when you come to join my community, is when you click join, I do have a couple of questions. And I have these questions because, one, I want to make sure that I can connect with you off this platform. So say something happens to the school platform. If I haven't collected any details from you as you come in, then I can't reconnect with you if it's all locked up in the school community. And so I do have a database where I collect all of my email addresses through here. And then the other thing that I have in here is, how did you find out about this community? Now I've left this just as a text field, not a multiple choice, because I want to leave it open for people to put in as much information as they can. So instead of just saying social media and not saying which platform, or the school platform, but they don't say whether it's a community or whether they've found it in discovery, leaving it open just means that they can add in whatever detail. And that means that I can allocate my marketing money with more knowledge. I actually have information to back where I want to put my money. So that's the questions that I have to join the group. So let's say you've done all of that, you've clicked in, and now you're in my community. So let's do that. soon as you hit my community, you'll see the Start Here post. We'll click that. And it just goes through and it talks about the tabs that are across the top here. And it just explains those, what you can expect to find in those tabs. And it shows there's a special tab for the self-actualization activation, there's call recordings, and there's a 90-day challenge. And it just invites people to introduce themselves once they've had a look through all of that. And then I've linked it to the introduction post. Now, I don't mind whether people make their own post, but this will just keep it all together. And it makes it really easy for people when they put their introduction in there, they can just flick through and see other people's introductions as well. So if I click that, it'll take you straight to that post where it talks about ideas that you can talk about in that introduction. And a few people in there. Okay, so back to the community. The next post, which I talked about, was that coaching call post where people can come in, click on that, and it takes them straight to that link in the calendar. And the other thing is, there is a call happening for my VIPs today. So what will happen is, on these here, if you click on that and you're not at that level, you haven't subscribed at that tier, it just won't let you in. It'll tell you to upgrade. And then I have one here also. So on the About page, I just showed the calls for all the free stuff. I just showed all the free stuff. But if you upgrade and you join my premium level, then you also get the 9-day personal breakthrough challenge live calls. And so I have a post set up exactly the same as the free one, but for the premium members who are doing the challenge to put their questions in there. Keeps that really specific. And yeah, all the challenge members aren't sifting through a whole heap of unrelated questions. And I do encourage other people in the community, if they have the answer to somebody's question, to jump in and answer it. Okay, it's a community for everybody to share their wisdom and their experiences and help each other out. And I love that about these communities, that it's not guru, teacher, and students. It's a community where everybody engages. So I love that. And so if you have a look through, I've got lots of different posts in here, and invite for people to have a free call with me, the 30-minute clarity call, before my kids are on school holidays. Because I won't be doing any of those calls in school holidays because my kids will interrupt them. And then, I talk about things like what speaks to your soul. I'm just inviting people to share who they are. Because when they start sharing who they are, they get to see themselves more clearly and they get to make connections as they're sharing that. Other people connect with them. And it builds community. Other people see and connect with other people in the community. And then they might follow their profile or they might follow their community as well. So I love that. All connecting. The next thing that I want to show you is the classroom. So in here we have that self-actualization activation course with the 7-day clarity challenge in there. And I've shown what's in there on the About page. And then the other one is the 9-day personal breakthrough challenge. And that, if you come to this as a member of the community, that will have premium on it and ask you to upgrade. You won't be able to click it open like I could if I clicked on that now. And so that's in the classroom. The next thing that I want to show is this calendar. And so I do have Let's click on it. I do have the branding for who do you think you are on there. And that's for the free. That's for the free level that I've branded it like that. Let's have a look at how I've branded it for the 90-day personal breakthrough challenge. So I've just made it a really distinct change. So when they see that, it stands out. If I made it with the same branding as the free community, then they might get confused and just think it's one of theirs. But as soon as that pops up, you know that that's not part of the free community. I probably will work on something that looks a bit more interesting than that, but for the moment, that is the branding that's on it. So, and what I've done is I've just made that a recurring calendar event. It just runs all the way through, doesn't end. And what I'll do is if something comes up and I need to reschedule it, then I just go in and I reschedule it. If it's close to the date and people might have already added it to their calendar, then I'll just put a little community announcement to say our usual call has been rescheduled to this time. So that's the calendar. The next thing that I like in here is the members, and you can see everything in here about the members. And if you have tiers, which I do, then you can see what tier they're on. If they're on anything above the standard, it'll put that there. So anyone who is a premium or a VIP, that will show up next to their name there. And the other thing that I really love about this Skool platform is you get to see the global impact that you're having. You get to look at the map and see it right in front of you. It's beautiful, right? So this is me over here in Australia on the Gold Coast, sunny Gold Coast. And then I have a few members down here, down in the Melbourne kind of area. Well, not just Melbourne. There's some in Tasmania. So yeah, that is my membership in Australia. And then, as you can see, I stretch right across the globe. So that's why I have that post with, just click to join the community meeting. I don't put in the time zone because they're in different time zones, right? And so I have people in the States, I have people in Canada, United Kingdom, in Italy, India, yeah, stretching across. So I love that. To use this for anyone in my community, if they would really like to meet up with people and actually sit down and have a cup of coffee and work through school stuff together or work through the course together, then they can click on here and they can say, oh, hey, are you close to me? Okay, so that's the map, and I really love that. The next thing in the community is this leaderboard. And so what you'll see on here are the different levels, and you get points through the Skool platform. So this is how it's gamified. It encourages you to interact, and you get points, and you level up. And for some communities, that means that you get to unlock different things at different levels. Not all communities do that. I do that in one of my other communities. This one, I don't. It's just you either access it in the free or you pay to upgrade and you access it that way. And so for my members, they get to show up on the leaderboard. Anybody that's been interacting in this 7-day period, I get to see that really quickly. I get to call out people and say, hey, well done. Great to see these faces in the community this week. Thanks for contributing, making our community great. And so it shows the leaderboard for a 7-day period, 30-day period, and all time. And then, now we're back to the About page. So we'll go back to my profile so you can see. So the other community that I have is the Book Writers Kitty. And so that's all about coaching aspiring authors through the internal dialogue. You know, once you say you're going to write your book and publish it, oh, there's a lot of noise in that head. So I coach them through that. I support them to be able to get past all those fears that come up about being seen and speaking their truth. And potentially, you know, there's a lot of fear about hurting people by speaking your truth. How's that going to impact family and friends and, you know, people that may have been through that trauma too? Like, you might trigger them. So there's all sorts of things that come up when you write your book. And then there's also just the mentoring of navigating the writing process and the publishing processes. So let's jump in and have a look at what the Book Writers Kitty is all about. So on here, I haven't really promoted this one yet because it is very niche and I'm protecting it fiercely. When we jump into it, you'll see that there are 3 membership requests that I haven't approved yet. And they've been sitting there for a little while because I'm just monitoring those profiles to see how they interact in other communities, whether they're spam types or just trying to get clients for their own communities through my business. So yeah, they're just sitting there waiting. So on this, let's jump into it. This is what you see in the discovery. So just has my branding on it, has a little picture of me and my cat Ziggy. And yeah, it's all about the writing process. So I've got a little picture of me writing. And I have my short description there. And so once they click on that in discovery, they come to this about page, what we're on now. And they get to see my banner in full. Your companion in turning life into story. That's my little tagline. And that is consistent across all my social media platforms. This branding, this black and white branding is consistent. And then I do have a little video in here. And just another little image of me and my cat. And in here, I talk about that environment of writing your story. It's very personal. It's very isolated. You're sitting there, just you and your pen. And if you have a little companion, your cat or your dog or, you know, whoever it is that comes and snuggles up to you while you're writing or sits on your page or your computer and prevents you from writing. And then I talk about needing more than just presence and needing guidance and coaching from people who understand that writer's headspace that you get into. And that can help you get through navigating the writing process and publishing your book and marketing your book. Down here, I make it really clear if this community is for potential members. So I talk about, you know, are they an aspiring author? Do they want to share their life experiences? Do they want guidance, feedback, and support with their writing? Do they want to connect with other writers? Do they want coaching support for that internal dialogue? Do they want mentoring to help navigate the writing and publishing processes? And then I just invite them. What's the next step in your story? So I'm asking them to take a step. And hopefully that step will be that they'll join my community. So that's what it looks like there. And I'm just going to change this setting here so that you can see what happens when they click join. So they click join, and the first thing they get is just some questions before they can request to join the group. So I ask what stage of the writing process best describes them. And by doing this, it gives me an idea of what the majority of my community members are dealing with, what stage they're at, whether they're looking at the publishing process yet, or whether they're still just at getting ideas out of their head. So it goes through and I just ask them those questions. It just highlights where they're at. It's still all in my head. I haven't written a word yet. I've got bits and pieces everywhere and need help to pull it all together. Or I've completed my manuscript and I'm ready to publish. Or I've published my book and need help building business around it. So it's just a little multiple choice, what best describes them. Then the next question I have is, how did you find out about the book writer's kitty? Now I've left this as just a text box so they can put in as much information as they feel comfortable with. So they can tell me exactly what social media platform, exactly what video they watched on YouTube if they wanted to, or whether they came from another community on Skool, or whether they found me in Skool Discovery. They can put whatever they want to in there to as much detail as they want. So that helps me work out where I want to spend my marketing money. So say I'm advertising on Facebook and none of my members have come from Facebook. I'm probably not going to keep just burning money and sending it to Facebook, right? If no one's coming from there. So it'll just get me really clear on where my dollar is actually having an impact. And then I can make informed decisions about where I spend my marketing money. Then the next thing is, what is your best email to send reminders for calls you've booked? Now they will get emails anyway when they book a call with me because it's all through my Google Calendar and Google Meet. And so that automatically will send them reminders, and I get them sent out the day before, an hour before, and 5 minutes before. But I want to collect their email addresses for members that might not book a call, so that, say something happens to the Skool platform, if I haven't collected the email addresses, then there's no way of me contacting these potential clients that might want to do work with me later on down the line. So I do build my database through here, and I do it just with that. And that's non-threatening. It's like, I'm not going to be sending them a whole heap of emails all the time. So that's what happens. Click join group, and then in they come. So when they come into my community, this is what they see. They'll come in, they'll get this little intro here. Now I haven't done a personalized community intro because this really covers it. This Skool one covers the purpose of the classroom, the maps, all that kind of thing. It's nice and quick. I would probably ramble on forever, so I just leave that one there. And then after they've gone through that process, they come to the first post, which is pinned, and it is the welcome post. It's my hello aspiring author, and I'm addressing them as authors because as soon as you decide that you are writing your book, whether you've published anything yet or not, you are an author. You are in that authorship journey. Okay, so from day one, they're authors. And in this, I just share a little bit about myself. I say, you know, have you been hearing the call to write your personal story? So I start with them, and then I say, you're in the right place. Why are they in the right place? Because I got that call too, right? So I share what that was like for me to get that call, and you know, how this community has come to be. And so I share that in here. And then if they're still reading, you know, I talk about, you know, it's happening. We're in the community. It's happening. I'm excited. And I say, look, if you're still here, it's time to start writing. Let's get to work on your vision and get it happening for you too. And then I talk about the next steps and what they can do. And then I also talk about the more that they engage, the more that they'll unlock things in the community. And then I just show appreciation for them being here, being part of my community. So let's look at what they can unlock as being an active member in my community. So here is my classroom, and it's all branded with my little Ziggy cat and my book logo. And so for all of the free access stuff, he's uncaged. He's not bound by any circle here. He's free to access. And that's for all the writers' workshops that I do. And they're a live interactive call. And so people can unlock those when they get to a certain level. So they can unlock that at level 3, and the next one at level 4, and the next one at level 5. The reason why I've got them to unlock it at different levels is I want people to engage in the community. I want them to be part of its growth and to not just sit back or just only do lives. And I see it happening in some communities that I'm in, where people will turn up to the lives, but they don't really share anything in the community. And then it just ends up being like a social media feed where just the owner is posting stuff all the time. So what I want to happen in my community, particularly in this one, is I want it to be everybody posting. I want it to be everybody equal, sharing themselves as an author and adding value to the community. And so in order to get them to do that, I've incentivized it with the free workshops to be able to access stuff as they go. And by contributing into the community, it means that as they open up, different things will open up for them. Different fears will come out, or different challenges will present themselves. And so that will make this workshop at the end here so much more valuable, because they will have actual things to work on. Because they'll be confronted with that. They'll be facing that. So that's why I've set it up that way. And I share generously in my community. And here I talk about I've started sharing snippets from my book. And I share a huge chunk in here of what I'm writing, so that I can encourage other writers to do similar, share snippets and start to feel those things that come up when you put yourself out there. Because until you start sharing it, it's not real. It's still all in your head. And for some people, the act of putting it out there that first time, it's either not as scary as they thought it was going to be, or it opens up a whole can of worms for them. And it's better that they do that in a safe community so that we can work through that, than to do it at point of publishing and then the whole world sees it and they've got to deal with all of that in one big hit. So yeah, that's just a little bit about how I operate within that community space. Now, I don't have any bookings in the calendar yet. I do at the moment, because my membership is only 7 members. I just connect with those members for a 30-minute chat, just to catch up where you're at. It's laser focused, and I can do that. I can do the unscalable right now because it's only 7 people. And because it's personal story, there's a lot of trauma work involved in some of the writing. And so I'm giving that really personal space, because I understand how hard it is to do that work. So I'm doing the unscalable with that. So I don't have any community calls booked in here as yet. When the community grows bigger, then I will look at doing that. Or once I see members responding to each other more in the community, then I'll, if times work out, then I'll get them on a call together and we can get that. So then we have this map here, which I love, just shows where my members are, and we are right across the globe. So spanning time zones, and that will mean that what I will do is, in my community, comes time to put in calls, I'll do a pinned post here and I will put join the live chat. I'll make it a link that leads straight to the calendar event, and I'll just update that every time I have a live call. And I'll make it so that they can ask a question or leave a comment if there's any topics or any challenges that they're experiencing that they would like me to cover on the call, so that if they can't make the call, they can still access support through that as well. So that's what I'll do for there. And we have the leaderboard, and this just goes through those levels, shows you when you can unlock things. Now, this is another thing, chat with members. I have locked that to level 4 because I noticed I was getting a lot of membership requests from editors and beta readers and people that are more than likely wanting to get into the writing communities so that they can then present to the community members what they have to offer. And I'm running an authorship program within my community, and so I don't need them taking away my members. I don't need them funneling off my membership. So I have made that they can't chat with my members until they reach a certain level. So they have to provide a certain level of value. Now, if I see them coming into the community and they're just trying to get points by, oh, hey, how you going? I'm new here. Those real shallow kind of comments. If they're not adding value and making an effort in those posts or those comments that they make, then I'll remove them from the group. I'm not going to let them just game the system with posts that aren't very valuable. Okay, so that is about limiting chats in mine. And then, yeah, we're back to the start. So I do have a little video in here. Now this video is one of the first videos that I did. It's part of one of the first videos that I did recording one of my workshops. And so I wasn't very comfortable on camera, and you know, was it perfect? No, but it's me speaking from my heart, and it's talking about being an advocate. So that's my little video on my About page. I have gotten a little bit more comfortable over time with recording myself, but yeah, there's some days that I overthink it. Some days I just get all up in my head. And so if that's you, just take a big deep breath and just know that everybody else is worried about all the ways that they misstep. Okay, people actually appreciate seeing other people struggle, to know that, hey, they're human too. They don't get it right 100% of the time either. So be willing to share that. Be willing to show that on your videos. And I still say I still so a lot. I start nearly every sentence with so. But being comfortable in your own skin and just saying, this is my community, this is how I help, and this is who I am. This is who you get to walk with you in that journey. So I wish you all the best in your communities, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of us posting in the free school course, more of us sharing where we're at, and more bell ringing. Ding, 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 let's ring the bell. Okay, cheers for now. Bye.